test of hypothesis. So how we can test that hypothesis? From the data, statistical data, and that is called as statistical technique to test the hypothesis. Now this technique, we start from the parent population to which a sample is drawn. So parent population, first of all you should know about what is population. So population is a group of elements or items or set of similar events is called population. That means it's a huge quantity, that is population. For example, all the students in our college. Next, sample. So sample is a part of the population, so a subset of the population, and that is called as sample. Now related to the population, size of population. So whatever the number of observations in the population, that is called as population size. It is denoted by capital N. Next, related to the population, parameter. What is parameter? Whatever the statistical units belongs to the population are called as parameter. So the units may be like population mean, population variance, and SD. Next, sample related size. So sample already we discussed, that is a part of the population or a subset of the population. For example, the CSC students are the part of the WITS college students. So you can take that example. Next, sample size, the number of observations in a sample. So size is always the number of observations. Regarding population, that is population size. Regarding sample, that is sample size, and that is denoted by small n here. So related statistic, all the statistical units which belong to sample is called as statistic. So whatever the statistical units for this sample is also the same, sample mean, sample variance, and SD, but the notations are changed. In the population mean is mu, variance is sigma square, and SD is sigma. For sample mean is x bar, variance is s square, and SD is s. Next, what is sampling? Sampling is the process of selecting a sample from the population, that is called as sampling. Now the sample we can take in different ways. So the sample we have as in two classifications. First one is large sample and the second one is small sample. So large sample is if the size of the sample n is greater than or equal to 30, the sample is said to be large sample. If the size of the sample n is less than 30, then that is related to small sample or exact sample. For example, if we have a drug, so that drug chemist has to decide whether the medicine is really curing the disease or not. How we can define about this drug, whether it is curing or not? Actually, our assumption is that drug is curing the disease, our hypothesis. How we can define this hypothesis is right or wrong? That should be conclude with a survey. So that survey, can we go to home to survey that product, that drug is good or not? Is that possible? No, it's highly impossible to go to the population side. So that I am taking only the sample. So sample means a part of the population. So according to the sample, I can conclude that the drug is curing the disease or not. Okay, so by the survey of the sample, by taking samples, we can conclude that the drug is curing the disease or not. So that sample we have in two ways, large sample and small sample. So you can take small sample or else large sample. But the thing is, if you go with the large sample, there may be a small errors, small risk we can have. It's clear about this? So whatever the errors we will get, that will be continuing. Next, generally you have an idea about test of hypothesis. That is, whenever to estimate the value of the parameter, we need to decide whether to accept or reject a statement, and that statement is called as hypothesis. And that decision, statement or decision, whatever is making procedure, is called the test of hypothesis. So in this example already we discussed about drug chemist. Next, statistical hypothesis. So a statistical hypothesis is a statement about the population parameter. So what is a statistical parameter? This is related to the basic of the statistics. Statistics, how we can get that is related to the getting data. So that statement may be true or false. Next, the procedure which enables us to decide whether the hypothesis is true or not is called the test of hypothesis or test of significance. So whatever may be, this test of hypothesis is finally to conclude our statement is right or wrong, that is acceptable or rejectable. It's clear?